Welcome to Stardust Stereo. I'm Parker McPhinney. I'm your host. Today is the 2nd of October, year 2024. And today we are going to see, if we look, a solar eclipse in Libra. This solar eclipse takes place starting at 8:43 a.m. Pacific time. Pacific Daylight Time. If you live elsewhere, you will have to do the math. This eclipse will be in the shadow for 6 minutes, and it will then be in effect for 6 years. That means every time this point in the solar eclipse, which is 10 degrees, Libra, 3 minutes arc, every time that is activated, the promise in the personal chart or the country's chart, mundane is what we call country's chart. Every time that point is activated, that promise will manifest, has the potential. You make things happen, the stars don't. The stars can incline you in a path, in a direction. The cosmos can point a spotlight for you to focus on. But in reality, if you don't take action or you don't make choices, the potential in any chart, any new moon chart, is lost. I read a lot of fear about this eclipse and fear about eclipses in general. And I think that's based in antiquity when astrologers did not predict the events of an eclipse correctly, the king chopped off their head. Luckily, that tradition is no longer in effect, although I will say I can be chewed out at times if I'm off on my predictions. You know, nothing is completely written in stone in astrology because there are so many elements. This introduces the discussion of is there free will or not. I'm not going to get into that today. I really primarily want to just discuss the potential of this solar eclipse and give a few hints of what I do see and how you can utilize this. This eclipse is an intellectual eclipse, and it's in the sign of Libra, and so therefore it is about seeking harmony within yourself. And what is super interesting to me is this is the beginning of Navaratri in India, which is the celebration of the goddess for 9 days, and I should say goddesses, Lakshmi, Saraswati, and Durga Ma. And this eclipse is in the sign of Libra, which is ruled by Venus, which is the female. And that Venus is in Scorpio at 11 degrees. And this eclipse promises you, if you make the effort to seek harmony, it will be long-lasting, deep harmony. Last night I had a dream about a llama, and I looked up the symbolism of a llama, and it is, ironically, a sign of seeking tranquility and being able to endure the hardships as you go through them. Because llamas carry very heavy loads, but they're reliable and responsible. And this, of course, is a very personal dream for me because I have endured certain challenges in the last year and a half. I would like to share with you the news that you need not be fearful, because the world is constantly going through ups and downs, war and peace. But if we find within ourselves that anchor, which is harmony, peace, and love, then everything else in the world is a passing cloud. For astrologers or those that are savvy to the cosmos, this is a South Node eclipse, and it is in the Saros series 144. For other people that do not follow astrology, that will just be astrobabble that you don't need to think about. Now this eclipse is Sun, Moon with sunglasses on, and Mercury is right next to it. Mercury is an intellectual sign. It deals with our thinking process. It deals with transportation, contracts. So that's why I say this is a potential peace, harmony eclipse. However, Venus is the ruling planet of this eclipse, and Venus is at 11 degrees Scorpio. And unfortunately, Scorpio's lower tendencies include revenge, not forgiving, not letting go, waiting for retaliation. So we do need to all seek out peace within ourselves, learn how to not do any of the negative traits of Scorpio that I just mentioned, but instead lean toward loyalty, lean toward tenacity, passion to what you wish to create, not giving up, learning to forgive and let go of what is not helpful for you to find peace. This eclipse is also about our justice system. We will probably see in America the Supreme Court change. I have talked about this in previous podcasts, but what I really see that's paramount to this eclipse is air storms, the quality of our air, justice and cooperation, and the big question, what is marriage? So what is marriage? Not just from a legal point of view, because that chatter goes on in our justice system on the back burner. It's never really gone off since we had changes in acknowledging that same-sex partnerships was in fact legal and permittable, etc. That may be challenged. This eclipse indicates that that may be challenged. That does not mean that the challenge will succeed. But the inquiring investigation and discussion of the meaning of marriage will continue. And this, the meaning of marriage in a personal chart, will be highlighted. So we will see partnerships that unite on even deeper levels. We will see many partnerships that come about because of intellectual infinity, cooperation, and the need to unite in order to achieve the ideas and plans that a family or a couple may have. This eclipse also indicates, because Venus is in Scorpio and Mars is in Cancer, and they are in a harmonious degree. It's a wide trine. It's 4 degrees from separation, but Venus is applying to that trine. And so therefore that tells me that, again, peace is possible. Peace treaties could be signed with the influence of this eclipse. The wars that we are currently seeing in the world could go the route of finding peace treaties. There's more work that needs to be done. Cooperation has to raise its head in the highest level in order for the prevailing energy of harmony to exist. South America is really highlighted in this eclipse because the path of the eclipse goes through the tip of South America, especially important for Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Easter Island. That's where we're really going to see huge shifts in the thinking and the justice systems, how the populace thinks, how transportation is affected in those countries. I'll give you a few cities that are affected, or additional countries. New York City is affected by this eclipse. Los Angeles is affected. New York City is affected by the immigration issue because this eclipse will activate New York City's ascendant and conjunct its Jupiter, and Jupiter deals with other countries or people from other parts of the world. So we will see huge changes in their legal system in New York City over immigration policies. Los Angeles, this eclipse it will conjunct Venus, and that deals with our entertainment industry. And our entertainment industry in Los Angeles is completely decimated right now. So many people in the industry have lost jobs. And I have recently been in LA, and I was shocked to walk into an Albertsons and went in to get a bar of soap. I went down the aisle of beauty supplies and soaps in a very well-established neighborhood in Los Angeles that used to be known as a hipster neighborhood. And everything dealing with beauty or care, self-care, from soap, shampoo, razors, vitamins, was all under lock and key, the whole aisle, because of the level of theft that they are dealing with. The store has had to put glass panels over every single product, and you have to punch a button to get what you need behind that glass. Now that tells you everything you need to know about the state of Los Angeles. And I will add, unfortunately, California. In the USA, this eclipse, from the chart that I use, there's several charts out there floating around for the USA, and I use a very particular chart that has our rising sign as 13 degrees Libra. So this eclipse will take place in our 12th house behind the scenes. It will conjunct Saturn, which is in the first house in the chart that I use for America. It will square our sun. I have talked about this in previous podcasts. I believe that we will see Biden step down before he finishes his term. And if in fact he is not the one that steps down, I do see us having, how to say this, I see us mourning a president. And this could be that former President Jimmy Carter passes within 30 days of this eclipse, or in fact another president passes. But I have seen this in other configurations and talked about it briefly in previous podcasts. This eclipse is especially important for the money coming in for America, because the Venus position in this eclipse is, like I said, Scorpio. That eclipse Lord, we call it the eclipse Lord, Venus, is at 11 degrees Scorpio, and it will be on the front door of America's second house of income. So there's a change coming of how we make income. I take this to hope that we will begin to manufacture products in America that we can sell around the world, because currently we do not, except for ammunition and big pharma. So we need to get the goods going in this country of what we offer the rest of the world, besides things that are associated with war and sickness. Of course, the manufacturers of those products may feel differently than I do, but that's just my opinion. Israel is affected by this eclipse. It is affected in a positive way. There is a trine from the solar eclipse to Israel's Mercury, so I am ever optimistic that we may get a peace treaty here. I really hope so. And I'm praying so. Canada will also be affected by this eclipse. They are going to see a change in their leadership as well, because The first house is conjuncted by this solar eclipse. Iran is also affected by this eclipse, and Australia. And in Australia, this eclipse happens on the 7th house cusp, and it squares their sun. So I believe that their treaties, partnerships, and what the meaning of marriage is going to be highlighted in Australia as well. My other thought is that because the eclipse is happening in the 7th house, that's a public house, we will hear news of much protest there. We'll have peaceful protests, but I do think that the gender issue is going to still be discussed very deeply in that country, in Australia. And by that, I mean the definition of a woman, which I really think is pretty clear. I know this is a deeply sensitive subject for a lot of people. This deals with the identifying gender issues. Now, what I would truly wish would happen was that we as a collective humanity could just identify as peaceful people. That would help us so much. So that is the solar eclipse at 10 degrees Libra. There is so much more I could add, but I'm keeping it short so I can edit this and get it out to you. I want to take this opportunity to thank my patrons. You know who you are. If you'd like to become a patron, you can do so at patreon.com/ParkerMcP. You can sponsor me $3, $5, $10, $20. It's very flexible, or make a one-time donation. I want to remind you, you are made of stardust. So go shine.